Today I will reveal how to awaken unconscious female desire using Stoic principles. Many men don't realize that true attraction operates in the subconscious. In fact, 97% fail because they are unaware of these ancient techniques. In the next few minutes, you will discover how calculated indifference, serenity, and authenticity create irresistible magnetism. By abandoning the need for approval, you will activate primitive attraction triggers that will completely transform your masculine presence and awaken unconscious desire in any woman. Have you ever noticed how some interactions with women feel forced, as if you're constantly rowing against the tide? As if every word, every gesture needs to be calculated, creating mental exhaustion that ends up showing in every interaction? This is the first sign that you are operating in the wrong paradigm. True seduction isn't about conquering someone against their will. It's about removing the blocks that prevent your true masculine essence from shining naturally. What I'm about to share is the result of years of decoding the invisible mechanisms of human attraction, not just through personal experience, but by deeply studying evolutionary psychology, social dynamics, and most importantly, observing the patterns of naturally magnetic men, those who seem to attract women effortlessly. First, let's understand what is actually happening when a woman feels genuine attraction for a man. It's a process that occurs mostly at the subconscious level. While you are worried about what to say next, your body, your energy, and your nonverbal behaviors are communicating much more about who you truly are. And that's exactly why superficial techniques are short-lived, because there is a disconnect between what you say and who you truly are. Think about it. How many times have you managed to spark initial interest, but lost the connection after a few interactions? This happens because incongruence eventually reveals itself. The good news is that by internalizing the 4 pillars I'm about to share, you will create an authentic and sustainable magnetic presence, something that doesn't disappear when the adrenaline of the moment fades. Now, before we dive into the first pillar, I want you to imagine the following scene. You are in a social setting, talking naturally with friends, completely present and connected to the moment. There is no tension in your shoulders, no anxious internal dialogue. You simply exist in that space with quiet confidence. Suddenly you notice interested glances coming your way. Without doing absolutely anything other than being authentically you, this is the power of the first pillar I will reveal now. First pillar, authentic presence. The foundation of all genuine attraction begins with your ability to be completely present in the moment. Nothing communicates more insecurity than a mentally absent man, divided between what is happening and his internal dialogues of self-judgment or strategies to impress. When you are talking to a woman, she can instantly sense if you are truly there with her, or if part of you is busy with thoughts about how you are doing, what to say next, or trying to control the impression you are making. This internal division creates fragmented energy that is subtly repellent. Think about the last time you interacted with someone who was genuinely interested in what you had to say, maintaining natural eye contact, responding to what you actually expressed with no hidden agenda. How did you feel? Probably valued, seen, and naturally drawn to continue the interaction. The question is, how often do you offer this same quality of presence when you are interested in a woman? Or is your mind so busy trying to control the outcome that you lose the very essence of the moment? Here is the paradox. The more you try to control how an interaction unfolds, the less real control you have, because this attempt at control takes you away from the only place from which true power emanates, the present moment. A powerful exercise to develop this authentic presence is to practice conversations where your only goal is to fully understand the person in front of you. Not to use what she says as a hook for your next impressive line, not to evaluate if she meets your criteria, simply to understand her world as if it were the most fascinating thing in that moment. Ask genuine questions. Listen to the full answers without interrupting. Observe not just the words but the energy behind them. What excites her? What saddens her? What values shine through in her way of seeing the world? When you develop this quality of presence, something magical happens. The interaction stops, being a chess game where every move is calculated, and becomes an organic dance where two human beings genuinely discover each other. And it is in this authentic space that true chemistry is born. But there is a critical obstacle that prevents most men from maintaining this. Presence, do you know what it is? It is the fear of rejection. It is the subconscious belief that if you show yourself completely, if you allow yourself to be seen in your truth, you might be judged as insufficient. This fear creates constant tension between showing up authentically and protecting yourself through a performative version of yourself. And guess what this tension does to your energy? Exactly, it sabotages your ability to be truly present. Now, the most important question: how to transcend this fear that fragments your presence? The answer leads us directly to the second fundamental pillar of authentic masculine seduction. Second pillar, emotional self-sufficiency. This is possibly the most misunderstood element of masculine attractiveness. Most men operate from a position of emotional neediness in their interactions with women. They seek validation, approval, and fulfillment, as if her positive response were necessary to confirm their worth. This dynamic creates an immediately noticeable energetic imbalance. Can you identify when you are in this pattern? That feeling of needing to impress, that your happiness depends on her reaction, that a no would be devastating to your sense of self-worth. The inconvenient truth that few men are willing to face is that this emotional dependence is deeply repellent to the feminine unconscious. Women don't verbalize this. Many are not even aware of this mechanism, but their nervous system is programmed to detect this neediness as a warning sign. Let's understand why. In feminine evolutionary programming, an emotionally dependent partner represents a risk. If you need her to feel complete, who will support her in moments of vulnerability? If your emotional stability depends on her validation, what kind of pillar will you be when life's inevitable storms arise? Emotional self-sufficiency is the ability to remain centered in your own well-being and worth, independent of external validation. It is the deep understanding that, although meaningful connections enrich your life, your completeness does not depend on them. When you interact from this state of internal fullness, the dynamic changes completely. You are no longer trying to extract something from her, whether it's attention, approval, or validation. Instead, you are offering a connection from your internal abundance. This is the most powerful paradox of attraction. The less you need a specific outcome, the more naturally attractive you become. When you are not desperate to impress or conquer, you free yourself to be authentic. And it is this uncompromised authenticity that creates genuine magnetism. How do you develop this emotional self-sufficiency in practice? It starts with an honest audit of where you seek external validation. In which areas of your life do you depend on others' approval to feel valuable? Where do you place your sense of identity in the hands of external factors, whether it's status, recognition, or female attention? The next step is to create daily practices that nourish your well-being, independent of these external sources. It could be meditation, physical activity, connection to a higher purpose, creative expression, anything that connects you to a sense of intrinsic worth that no one can give or take away from you. A particularly powerful practice is what I call gradual exposure to rejection. It's voluntarily putting yourself in situations where you might be rejected, not to harden yourself emotionally, but to discover that your essence remains intact regardless of the external response. Start with small social risks and gradually increase as your emotional resilience develops. The result? You begin to operate from a place of genuine choice, not desperate need. Your interactions become opportunities for mutual discovery, not personal validation missions. And this inner freedom creates a magnetic field around you that is inexplicably attractive. Before revealing the third pillar, I want you to pause to process what we have discussed so far. If this content is opening new perspectives for you, leave a like and share your insights in the comments. This not only helps the algorithm take these ideas to more men who need to hear them, but also creates a community of growth where we can learn from each other. And if you're wondering how to apply these concepts in specific situations in your life, mention that in the comments. The most interesting examples may become topics for future videos. Now let's move on to the third fundamental pillar, which shows how to completely transform the dynamic of your interactions. Third pillar, conscious polarity. Here we enter territory that many modern men fear exploring. In an attempt to be nice guys, politically correct and harmless, many men have completely suppressed their polarizing masculine energy. The result? Lukewarm, sexless interactions, devoid of the vital tension that fuels attraction. Let's be clear, I am not talking about machismo, toxic domination, or any form of disrespect. I'm talking about consciously embracing the directional, focused, and assertive energy that is the essence of healthy masculinity. Polarity is the fundamental force that creates attraction between complementary energies. Without polarity, there is no tension. Without tension, there is no desire. It is basic physics applied to human interactions. The great misunderstanding of our era is confusing equality of rights and respect, something absolutely essential, with energetic equality, something that kills attraction. Healthy men and women are equal in value, dignity, and potential, but naturally different in many aspects of their energetic expression. And it is from this complementary difference that magnetic chemistry is born. What are the signs that you are operating with diminished masculine polarity? Chronic indecision, difficulty expressing direct desire, fear of disagreeing, constant need for consensus, aversion to any potential tension. Do you recognize yourself in any of these patterns? The irony is that many men avoid expressing masculine polarity for fear of offending or displeasing, but the result is the opposite of what they desire. Without the polarizing tension, their interactions remain in the friend zone, wasting the potential for romantic or sexual connection. Conscious polarity manifests in three main dimensions. In communication, it is the courage to speak your truth without filters of approval. It is expressing respectful disagreement when necessary. It is naming what you see without fear of displeasing. It is the ability to stand your ground when tested, not out of rigidity, but out of internal clarity. In physical space, it is occupying your place with solid presence. It is body language that says, I am comfortable in my own skin. It is sustained eye contact without invasion or submission. It is posture that radiates security without needing to dominate. In direction, it is the ability to lead naturally without controlling. It is taking initiative when appropriate. It is setting clear boundaries. It is creating a container where the interaction can flourish organically, but with defined intention. A man operating with conscious polarity is a magnetic force, not because he tries to control or manipulate, but because his own sense of direction and purpose creates a natural gravitational field around him. Understand, healthy feminine energy is not seeking to be dominated, but rather to be met by a masculine presence that can match and complement her depth and intensity. She desires a man comfortable with his power, who does not need to impose it or hide it. How do you develop this conscious polarity if you grew up suppressing these aspects? It starts with an honest recognition of where you shrink in your interactions. Where do you abandon your truth to please? Where do you hesitate when you should move forward? Where do you silence yourself when you should speak? The most transformative practice is what I call gradual expression. Start by expressing small truths in safe environments. Disagree respectfully when your perspective is different. Take small initiatives without asking for permission or consensus. Set clear boundaries when your values are disrespected. As you develop this capacity, something remarkable happens. Women start responding to you very differently. Not because you are manipulating, but because you are finally allowing a natural dynamic to establish itself, the dance between complementary energies that generates magnetic attraction. And here is the most subtle and powerful aspect. Conscious polarity also includes the capacity for fluidity. A man truly secure in his masculinity knows when to be firm and when to be receptive, when to advance and when to retreat, when to lead and when to follow. This conscious adaptability, based on internal clarity and not insecurity, is the peak of polarizing presence. Now that we have established the first three pillars, authentic presence, emotional self-sufficiency, and conscious polarity, we are ready for the fourth and perhaps most impactful element of this transformation. But first, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be alerted when the next video in this series is released. In it, I will reveal specific practical exercises to develop each of these pillars in just 10 minutes daily. If you have followed along this far, I know you are the kind of man committed to genuine growth. not just superficial techniques. And for men like you, what I am about to reveal now can be the catalytic element that completely transforms your experience of connecting with women. Fourth pillar, strategic vulnerability. This is the most counterintuitive element of authentic masculine seduction. Most men have been conditioned to believe that showing any vulnerability is a sign of weakness, something to be avoided at all costs. In a woman's presence. This belief could not be further from the truth in the context of deep and sustainable attraction. Vulnerability, when expressed with strategic discernment, is possibly the most magnetic force in creating genuine connection. But be careful. There is a crucial difference between vulnerability that attracts and vulnerability that repels. And it is exactly in this subtle distinction that most men get lost. Repellent vulnerability comes from a place of neediness. It is the man who unloads his insecurities, fears, and unresolved needs onto a woman he barely knows. It is using vulnerability as a manipulative tactic to gain sympathy or as emotional dumping without awareness of context. Magnetic vulnerability, on the other hand, comes from a place of internal strength. It is the ability to reveal deeper layers of yourself from a solid foundation of self-knowledge and self-acceptance. It is the man who is so secure in his own worth that he does not need to maintain perfect facades. Think about it. Which man demonstrates more real strength? The one who maintains an impenetrable mask of perfection, constantly fearing that any crack will reveal his inadequacy, or the one who can show authentic aspects of himself, knowing that his worth does not diminish by revealing his humanity? Strategic vulnerability operates in three main dimensions. In personal revelation, it is sharing formative experiences, values, and visions that show who you truly are, beyond the social surface. It is not exposing every insecurity, but allowing authentic glimpses into your inner world with discernment appropriate to the established level of intimacy. In emotional expression, it is the ability to feel genuinely without being overwhelmed by emotions. It is being able to express enthusiasm without artificially containing it, sadness without shame, or desire without apologies, always maintaining an internal gravitational center. In openness to impact, it is allowing yourself to be genuinely touched by her experience. It is demonstrating that her words, energy, and presence have a real effect on you without destabilizing you. It is the willingness to be transformed by the encounter without fear of losing yourself in it. This conscious vulnerability creates a field of magnetic intimacy that few women experience with men. Why? Because most men are stuck between two equally ineffective extremes: complete emotional rigidity or emotional dumping without discernment. The man capable of strategic vulnerability offers a very rare experience: the combination of unwavering masculine strength with accessible emotional depth. This combination activates primitive attraction triggers because it represents the evolutionary ideal, a man capable of protecting and providing, but also of connecting and understanding. How do you develop this strategic vulnerability in practice? It starts with an honest inventory of your relationship with your own emotions and experiences. Where do you maintain facades? Where do you block authentic expression for fear of judgment? Where do you avoid real intimacy out of insecurity? A transformative practice is what I call calibrated revelation, starting to share deeper aspects of yourself in doses appropriate to the context. It's not about confessing your greatest fears on the first date, but allowing authentic layers to reveal themselves naturally as the connection develops. Another powerful exercise is practicing the direct expression of impact, honestly naming how you are affected by significant moments in the interaction. What you just said really touched me because, or when you shared that, I felt a deeper connection emerge. These are expressions that demonstrate both vulnerability and conscious presence. As you integrate this fourth pillar, something extraordinary begins to happen. Women are not only attracted to you, but they feel safe to reveal their own deeper layers. The interaction transcends the superficial seduction game and becomes a genuine mutual exploration, without losing the erotic tension that sustains attraction. This is the pinnacle of authentic masculine seduction, when attraction and connection are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of the same dynamic dance. Now let's tie these four pillars, authentic presence, emotional self-sufficiency, conscious polarity, and strategic vulnerability, into a coherent approach that you can apply immediately. The first step is an honest assessment. In which of these pillars do you currently feel the greatest deficiency? Where do you notice the most significant blocks? This initial clarity directs your development focus. The second step is gradual integration in low-risk contexts. Practice these principles first in everyday interactions where the pressure is minimal. Observe how small changes in your presence, emotional centering, expression of polarity, and strategic vulnerability affect how people respond to you. The third step is conscious application in romantic interest contexts, starting with a clear intention, but without rigid attachment to specific outcomes. Allow yourself to experiment with new ways of being, observing closely both the external response and your internal experience. The fourth step is continuous refinement through honest reflection. After each significant interaction, ask yourself, where did I remain present? Where did I lose my center? Where did I express or suppress my natural polarity? Where was I authentically vulnerable, or did I hide out of fear? This process is not about perfection, but about conscious evolution. Each interaction becomes a laboratory for your development as a man, regardless of the specific external outcome. And here is the deepest transformation that occurs when you internalize these four pillars. You stop seeing seduction as something you do to get an outcome and start seeing it as a natural expression of who you are. Attraction becomes a side effect of your authentic presence, not the primary goal of your interactions. Imagine what it would be like to live this way, completely present in every interaction, emotionally centered regardless of external validation, naturally expressing your masculine polarity and capable of authentic vulnerability without losing your power. This is not just a transformation in your ability to attract women. It is a complete revolution in your life experience as a man. The men I see going through this transformation report not only unparalleled success with women, but a sense of personal freedom that completely transcends the romantic realm. It's as if, by addressing this fundamental area, they unlock internal resources that elevate all dimensions of their lives. Before we conclude, I want to leave a final thought. True mastery in attraction and connection is not in the techniques you master, but in the person you become. While most men spend their lives seeking the magic formulas or perfect strategies, the truly magnetic ones invest in the development of their being. The question is not, what should I do to attract her, but who must I become so that attraction is the natural result of my presence? The path I shared today does not offer instant gratification like some magic formulas out there promise. It is a journey that demands commitment to authentic personal growth, but the results are not only deeper and more lasting, they are exponentially more powerful. If this approach resonates with you, if you are ready to transcend the superficial seduction game and embark on the path of authentic masculine magnetism, subscribe to the channel right now. In the next video, I will share the step-by-step system to implement these four pillars in just 30 days, with specific practical exercises for each dimension of your development. Comment below which of the four pillars you most need to develop, and share this video with that friend who is ready for a real transformation in his ability to create deep and magnetic connections. The journey I shared today is not for everyone. It is for men who intuit that there is a deeper level of connection possible, beyond the games, beyond the masks, beyond the superficial techniques. If you have made it this far, I know you are one of those men. And for you, an extraordinary transformation is just beginning.